Monday, October 26, 2020, the year that can officially lick my balls. Richard, it's going to be a great day today on the program because we have the founder of LawDog Coffee coming on today in the second half, Ray Dietrich. He's also the loudmouth conservative pro-police host of Coffee with Cops and the Thin Blue Line show. He's been censored and he's been shut down. It's just absolutely unbelievable. We will have him on. I caught up with him over the weekend. Totally sad. Caught up with him over the weekend. He was gracious enough to give us the time for an interview. We're blessed with his presence in the second half, so stick around for that. But I want to mention to you LawDog Coffee, of course, because we're broadcasting live from the LawDog Coffee studios. At least I am. I see that you're in the basement today like Joe Biden. You got the Rona or what? What's going on over there?
No Rona for me.
Okay, well, drinking LawDog Coffee, I presume, and that's great. You know why? Because it's good coffee, and also a portion of the proceeds go to the Wounded Blue, which is an organization that has documented assisting over 6,000 law enforcement families for those that are shot and killed or injured or wounded in the line of duty. They provide service dogs for officers that have PTS and all those other things. LawDog Coffee, we are a proud sponsor, and we're an affiliate, so make sure that you go to lawdogcoffeepcradio.com. That's lawdogcoffeepcradio.com. Use the promo code PCRadio for 10% off.
Broadcasting live from the highest cloud of privileged patriotism. The PC Radio Show is on. Mojo 50 Radio.
Feels like a Monday. Spent the whole weekend watching Trump rallies, watching these Biden, I don't know if you'd call it a rally or not. It's kind of like more of a dinner table get-together. He invites 12 of his cousins, all of which are sleeping with his son, allegedly. Naked pictures. The laptop from hell, I heard a lot about that over the weekend. Trump rallies, 20 to 40,000 people showing up at these things, about a dozen to 40 cars, sporadically honking and a few claps occasionally here and there at a Biden rally where he then stands up delivering a message of unity, but then calls Trump supporters chumps. So we are now chumps for Trump, which is fine. Ray Dietrich, I'm sure, will be taking advantage of that. He'll be making T-shirts and selling them like crazy, making millions of dollars, trying to make up for the censorship in which Facebook and Twitter, big tech, has shut down the America's Keepers community and 2.5 million in Ray Dietrich's audience. He's, for those of you that don't know, you must be living under a rock if you don't know who Ray Dietrich is. He is the loudmouth, very popular conservative pro-police talk show host, and he hosts Coffee with Cops as well as, the Thin Blue Line show. And we're going to have him on in the second half. I think we'll get him on the phone. I was able to catch up to him over the weekend, and we'll play the interview, which he graciously took the time to talk to us. But these events here that we're seeing a massive difference in attendance at these things. And then you look to the TV screen, and the media, if you want to call them that, the propaganda machine for the liberal radical left is showing you these polls that have Trump behind. There's no path to victory for him. There's no way that he can win the Electoral College. Biden, like you were talking before the show started, he has no scheduled events for the next 8 days leading up to the general election on November 3rd. If it works for him and he wins the election, obviously they're going to say it was the best decision ever. It was brilliant. It was genius. But if he loses, reminiscent of 2016, when Hillary kind of put her feet up, they're going to call it idiotic, which is what I'm praying and hoping for.
I'm guessing that it's partly because the Biden rallies and the speeches or whatever it is that he wants to call them are turning into Trump rallies anyway. Like you said, the Trump chumps are at all the Biden stuff, and I would venture to guess that the turnout for Trump is greater than the turnout for Biden at his own events.
Oh, at his own events. At Biden events, The Trump crowds that are outside the gates honking and getting on their bullhorns and their microphones, I mean, that is a peaceful protest, right? And these are the people, hey, look, Biden and Kamala, these are the people that they say, hey, the protests won't stop. They won't stop through the election. They won't stop after the election. We support protesters, so don't forget about these people. Why is it only okay to protest on one side, but you protest on the other side and you're chumps? Just another example of hypocrisy and lies coming out of that campaign. One poll that I did notice and that's been kind of catching my eye here, and I like to get a little bit more light on this show. You know, I mean, we're talking about polls. That could go a couple of ways, by the way. And we're talking about polls as far as numbers and electoral, counting people who intend to vote for this or that. But the one poll that I like and that I find interesting is this cookie poll. Have you heard about this thing?
I did. I saw a a news story the other day, and I am very intrigued. I have questions though, because say my local bakery is doing a cookie poll.
Yeah.
And of course the Trump cookies sell out. Well, I'm a sucker for a good cookie. Would it be out of line for me to buy Biden cookies, wipe his name off of the frosting, and eat the damn thing anyway, even though it's blue? I mean, I'll eat blue frosting.
Well, you may have to do that if they're sold out of Trump
Yeah.
cookies, obviously, but there's bakeries all over the place. Here's this Tamara's, Lochel's. I mean, the only one that I've seen, there's only one of them that's in Illinois where Trump is behind, but other than that, it seems to be a Trump landslide. And check this lady out.
So it's about
Thank you.
little after noon today. So cookies have halted for about 10 minutes because we ran out of Trump. We continue to run out of Trump cookies. So I know all my supporters are wondering what the numbers are
She's got a bakery.
right now because this whole line is for Trump cookies.
This is Lochel's Bakery,
Crazy.
Pennsylvania.
So I'm going to flip the camera. I'm going to show you all what the line is, okay?
Look at this line, Richard.
There you go.
Jesus.
What's everyone here for, Christy? All the cookies. Right. Okay. All the Trump cookies.
All the Trump cookies, she said. And the line, she goes down the line and she talks to all these people. She asks them where they're from. They're from literally all over the place. And they're there to buy Trump cookies. She can't hold on to them. That's Lochel's Bakery in Pennsylvania, which is like a battleground state. That is a very important state. No presidency has ever been won without winning in Pennsylvania. So that's a very key state. And go ahead.
I gotta say, bro, like all those people in line, if I'm at the end and I get to my turn and Trump cookies I'm buying Biden cookies, wiping his name off. I mean, I gotta have some goddamn cookies.
Well, you don't like frosting or what? I mean, just eat the damn thing. Who gives a shit? Locally, here in the state of Minnesota, Hanisch Bakery down in Red Wing, Minnesota, was recently featured. This might be the news story that you saw.
Quite busy here at Hanisch Bakery this morning, and part of the reason is their very popular cookie poll. So this is basically a frosted sugar cookie that has the candidates' names on the top. They keep track of the sales and the numbers, and then that's how you find out who wins this very scientific, sugary, sweet poll. We're with Bill Hanisch this morning of Hanisch Bakery. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem.
This year, how do you describe this year's cookie poll?
Insane, intense, sweet,
All the above.
all the above.
Now the sales have been incredible compared to when you
Incredible.
just look at like the last election.
Yeah, it's been a blessing. It really has to sell, 14,000 cookies in a year like this has been absolutely amazing for us. It's keeping our staff definitely going, and keeping them definitely very busy as well.
Oh, look at those beautiful cookies. That's Shane Wells, by the way, with Fox 9's Morning Buzz, who was at the Hanisch Bakery and Coffee Shop. And I got to be, just for full disclosure here, I used to work at a radio station in Red Wing called, it was a classic hits radio station. I don't have to say what it was called. But I had Stu's Afternoon Traffic Jams on that radio station. And at the time, Bill Hanisch was he was a very insightful, very intelligent person and wanted to advertise on my radio show. At which point I labeled him Billy the Bun Man, and the thing stuck. And we had a lot of fun advertising for him. And he went ahead and bought this like super expensive mascot type full getup, Billy the Bun Man. He's all branded and everything. He's in all the parades. He does a lot for the community down there, and we're fortunate to have him on PC Radio this afternoon. Hey, Billy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Good to talk to you, Stu.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I want to know a couple of things. First of all, thank you for putting me onto these other bakeries over the weekend. And I reached out to Billy, by the way, and got these chocolate in the oven in New Jersey, Oakmont Bakery in Pennsylvania, Paisanos in Florida. There's a New York bakery. There's Lochel's that we just saw down in Pennsylvania, Uncle Mike's Bake Shop in Wisconsin. There's bakeries all over the place that are doing these things. And I only saw one that was in Illinois, surprise, surprise, the only state where Biden was ahead in these cookie polls. But tell us about the accuracy of these cookie polls, traditionally and over the history.
They've been very accurate. Ourselves, we started this back in 1984 with the previous owners of the bakery, and we've carried it on. Ours has been exactly, almost mirrors the popular vote every time. Obviously, we don't have an electoral college, so, I can't say that we've been exactly correct on the electoral side of it.
Right, yeah.
But as for the popular vote and getting a feel for what, the general public is thinking, saying, whatever you want to call it, it's very accurate.
Awesome. So let's ask you about your cookie poll. What are the numbers looking like here for Hanisch Bakery? Now, mind you, this is Minnesota, okay? And what was the last time, Richard? You said 1972 that Minnesota went red? I think it was. That was for
75
for Nixon. Yeah, I think it was 72 actually. I don't know. But anyway, this is a very blue state, the People's Republic of Minnesota. So tell us, how damning are the numbers, Billy?
Well, this year has been, like I said, a blessing for us.
Mm-hmm.
But probably not so much for Joe Biden.
Uh-oh.
Because Donald Trump has sold 11,143 cookies to Joe Biden's 3,273.
Wow. That is a landslide. I mean, that's not even close. That's almost 15,000 cookies, Billy. My God. And, in the times of, the COVID-19, and just to get serious for a second here, the coronavirus has really affected small business. I mean, it has been just absolutely catastrophic, the way the government locally here has restricted businesses, shut businesses down, limited occupancy, prevented people from earning a living. And you're not just some hole-in-the-wall little bakery. I mean, you've got a big damn operation down there. You've got not only a bakery, but you've got a coffee shop and a full-service restaurant inside of there. And you guys, I love your breakfast sandwiches. You have homemade soups there. You have a full kitchen, and you have a lot of staff there that was probably really affected by this. So I can imagine the sale of 15,000 cookies as a boost in the in the election times has to be just awesome.
It really is. It's allowed us, to actually be adding staff, which has just been amazing. Did we have to let some staff go heading into this? Absolutely. We had to adjust on the fly back then. But going forward, we have just been able to keep going, and it's been great. And this cookie poll, like you mentioned, the lines at Lochel's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
The last 2 Saturdays ago, I had to stand outside and make sure we had the right amount of people inside the bakery because, we had a line 20, 40 deep waiting to get in the bakery. It's just been great. The support's been awesome.
I saw those pictures on your Instagram account. Billy is very active on social media, jealous of his following. I think 29-something thousand followers on his Facebook page, Richard. The guy's just really blowing it up. And that attributes to a lot of the success, I think.
Yeah, and also, as we talked about before the show, I think that baked goods are a place for common ground.
Yeah.
And maybe, Billy, they should put some weight into these cookie polls because it's a place you can go. I'm gonna tell you what, a bear claw, a cookie, a cupcake, all that stuff. I don't care who you are. If you make a good one, I'm coming to get one. And so maybe this is a place where they should put some weight on the cookie polls because
sounds like somebody's going to be putting some weight on. He'll be coming down there.
Who doesn't like baked goods?
Yeah, no, I get you. I'm more of a salty guy, which is why I like to come down for the breakfast sandwiches. Man, I load those things up with cheese and sausage and bacon and ham and all kinds of good stuff, except for eggs. We don't do eggs. Billy,
he can make you a sweet and salty baked good.
You mentioned to me, Billy, just now. You said something that was kind of an eye-opener for me. You said that the cookie poll has been able to allow you to add staff. So look at that. Trump hasn't even won the election. We're still in a coronavirus economy, but yet he's still creating jobs. Look at that. Just from the sale of his cookie, that beautiful blonde hair and that orange face flowing on top of a buttery sugar cookie. What kind of cookie is it, by the way?
Our cookie is our traditional sugar cutout cookie that we are very famous for, with a lot of our made from scratch fresh buttercream. It's a lot of frosting. I mean, we don't go cheap on these cookies.
Yeah.
So when you come in and you get a cookie, it is worth it, and you are going to enjoy it, and you get to support your candidate. It's great. It's been awesome.
Well, speaking of support, you do a lot to support your own community. When I'm in Red Wing, I see you. You're in the parades. We have a boat on the river there down in Red Wing, and we see the things that you're doing, and not only just on your social media, but actually in person. Marty Kelly, the elected sheriff there, is a friend of mine, and he tells me stories about Billy Hanisch bringing cookies into the police department and just donating things to the firefighters and first responders. You do a lot of generous donations to people who are less fortunate in the community as well. Your door is always open for people. You actually did my wedding cake many years ago, and I have Billy do all the birthday cakes for the kids and the cookies and the cupcakes and all that kind of shit. It really is a great bakery, man. You run a fantastic operation, but more important than that, Billy, you're a staple of that community, and you really do genuinely care about the people in Red Wing, and I think that that's fantastic. So I want to congratulate you on the success that you've had, and I think that this cookie poll thing, I hope it's right, Billy.
I do too.
Where can people where can people find you? So Hanisch Bakery and Coffee Shop is on Facebook. Is that where you would want to direct people to find you?
Facebook, Instagram, those are our big two that we are, really on. We also do some Twitter, but Facebook and Instagram definitely there. You can always check out our website for information as well.
Okay.
But, otherwise, 410 West 3rd Street.
Let me ask you a question. That's 410 West 3rd Street in Red Wing, 410 West 3rd Street. Let me ask you a question. Are you shipping these cookies, or do people have to be there in person to buy them?
We only do in-person voting.
Wow.
We do not ship our cookies. We never thought that we would be doing that, I guess. So our cookies are not designed to ship. They just we actually test shipped some to ourselves, and it just didn't work out real well for the cookies. And we tried really hard to make sure that nothing would happen to them, but the buttercream frosting, it just doesn't work out.
I was looking at some of these polls and some of these people's Facebook accounts, and they are shipping, and they are selling a lot less cookies. So for you to say that there's no absentee ballots and you have to vote in person, and you're still, none of these other people are selling 15,000 cookies. You're killing it. So congratulations on all your success, Billy, and we appreciate you coming on the show. Make sure to go check him out on Facebook, on Instagram, and everywhere else. Billy Hanisch Bakery. You see, I like talking about shit like that on this show because, we just sit and we get ragged on by, listeners that are hitting us up in our inboxes with all of these, awful stories of people getting their asses kicked, for supporting Trump. We see people getting raped in their own neighborhoods in these autonomous zones that cowardly police commanders are not allowing their cops to go in there and just take care of these things. We've heard Trump say many times, ask me for the help. It'll take me 15 minutes to come in there with the U.S. Marshals, and we'll wipe this shit out, and we'll get you guys back on your feet. But, it's nice to see fun stories like this, sweet stories like this, and stories about profit, for small business, which we know and we recognize is the backbone of the American economy, Richard.
Well, like you said, Trump is creating jobs he hasn't even won yet. He brought people, the cookie poll brought people back to work. And, I think that there's a lot of false narratives that happen, regarding our president. And just politics in general. There's a lot of bullshit, but there's also a lot of false narratives, and you don't hear the good stories like Hanisch Bakery and all these other places around.
Yeah.
Like you said, Stu, it's a staple of the community, and I truly believe that a place like that is a common ground property where it doesn't matter who you are, what creed, color, or religion you are. You can go to a bakery, have a good something to eat, and still be friendly with whoever walks in or out of the door.
I guarantee you I could get in a fist fight at a bakery. No problem. I'm serious. Look at today, how polarized we are. Look how divided we are. Look at how much hate is in the air everywhere you go. And I don't even think that a bakery can take away from that. Honestly, listen, you go say that you support Trump somewhere, and you're like looking at fist fights. It happened to me. It happened to me the other night, and it's just, I don't know, man. Here's the deal. All politicians are shitty. I don't like any of them. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. Republicans have been cowardly up until now. Tonight we're going to see on this vote with Amy Coney Barrett, but there's some stupid bitch from Alaska that doesn't want this thing to go through, and it's just like, it's all grandstanding. It is all about personal gain for these people. It's all about the prospects of their reelection. Nothing has anything to do with the betterment of America. It's effing sickening.
Well, I've said it many times. It's my opinion that politics and politicians have lost their way in relation to what it is they're really supposed to be doing.
Well, that's why they're losing their way with the American people now. I mean, look at
exactly.
Trump.
They don't care about the American people.
He's not a politician, and that's why he's there. It's shit like this, which is why he won. I see that meme all over the place all the time, but it's true. It's shit like this is why he won, and he stood on the debate stage right across from or right next to Joe Biden and said, you're a career politician, Joe. That's all you are. You're a polished. You're the reason I ran. You and Obama were shitty, and you're the reason that I ran. And then look, in the meantime, he's got this guy is energized. Look at his dance moves are going viral all over the place. This guy gets on stage, 74 years old, just beat the Rona, and he's on stage doing a jig, and then he's got
Bettis.
What's that? Oh yeah, he's doing the Elaine Bettis. Yes, he's got behind him. He's got big blue line flags, hashtag defend the police behind him, and he really genuinely cares about America. And I don't give a shit if people are offended by him. F your feelings, like Lee Guest would say. You don't have the right to not be offended. If you don't like it and if it really hurts you in the feels, then turn the channel, dude, or keep on scrolling in your news feed. I'm just so tired of these pussies that can't deal with reality, Richard. They melt down. There was a thing that I saw on somebody's social media page the other day, and I think Laura Ingraham played it on her show on Fox. There was like a grid of 9 different females and pussy dudes that might as well be females. I'm sure they identify that way, and that's okay. Fine, go ahead, do that. They were all screaming in rage, and some of them were like after Trump was elected. Some of them were, when Amy Coney Barrett was nominated. Some of them were, I don't know, whatever a Trump. Whenever there's a Trump win of any kind,
just melting down.
Totally melting down. Just. Get your fingers out of your vagina. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Well, I mean, what's really so bad about him? What's so bad? What did he do so wrong? The fact that he doesn't give a shit about the way you feel.
He's racist.
But he wants you to prosper, even though he doesn't care if you like it or not. Who cares if it hits you right in the fifis and it causes you to cry and melt down? All right, so be it. But pick your ass up off the pavement, strap up your boots, and put one foot in front of the other, and continue on with your life.
This portion of PC Radio brought to you by LawDog Coffee. We're broadcasting live from the LawDog Coffee studios. We'll have Ray Dietrich on in the second half. You're not going to want to miss that interview. He has been censored and he has been shut down by big tech, Richard. And this is more of the shit that I'm tired of. I mean, look at this. The New York Post can't even come out with corruption stories about Joe Biden's kid, Hunter, who went over allegedly to Ukraine. And it's documented that he received $183,000 a month from an energy company.
Is it still even allegedly?
No, it's proven. That's documented. He had, and I don't know why I use the word. I guess I'm just used to using it. But he, screw it. I'm not even going to use the word anymore. If you did it, you did it.
Right.
If it smells like shit, if it looks like shit, if it tastes like shit. I'm getting more messages here from people.
RTSS, bro.
Yeah, the Relentless Truth Seekers Squad. That's, I'll never apologize for that. I'll never apologize for calling a spade a spade. What was I saying, though? I was saying, oh, yeah, Ray Dietrich. He'll be on in the second half. He is the loudmouth host of Coffee with Cops and the America's Keepers community. He's got the Thin Blue Line show. He's partnered up with Randy Sutton to bring the Law Enforcement News Network. You got to go check them out, lenn.blue. Yeah, he's also partnered with... Yeah, it is. And he's also partnered... Well, here's the deal. You don't ever get to hear real stories about law enforcement. Everything is so swayed, so you never hear anything from the cops' perspective because we all know that cops don't have a voice. Their First Amendment is censored and shut down by their cowardly command staffs that don't want them coming out with the truth. There's too much truthing going on around here. Knock it off. You're fired. But, we hear stories being on the street, like, for example, the 3rd Precinct, the day that it burned, it didn't have to. They were all set. They were ready to go. They had concertina wire down there. They had the Jersey barriers set up. I think they were 3 levels high. And some pussy command staff came down there and looked at it and said, no, take all this down. It looks too militaristic. Man, F you. And then the thing burned. They have no problems burying dead cops. They would rather bury a dead cop than bury a career criminal, violent thug like George Floyd. And, listen, I'm not saying that the event needed to occur. It was definitely avoidable. Cooperate with the effing police, and you won't die,
How does, I'd be more interested in asking, how does a police officer get there? I mean, so you start out, you go to school, right? And to become a cop in Minnesota, it's a long road.
It is.
You need to go to school. You need to get a degree. You need to go to skills. You need to go find a job. Next, which might be the hardest part, is finding a place.
What's the question here? What's the question?
How do you get from start to end? How do you get to the point where you go, all right, well, let's give up our home, let them have it, let them burn it down?
Politics.
Screw that. That's bullshit.
100% politics. That's the short answer. More PC Radio right after this. My name is Stu. That's Rich over there. Don't go anywhere. Back in like 2 minutes.
I don't think that there's a lot of things that would have happened in my life if my last name wasn't Biden.
Like your investment firm striking $1 billion deal with a Chinese-owned bank 10 days after you and Joe visit, and collecting over $80,000 a month from a Ukrainian energy company after your father was named point man on Ukraine.
It is impossible for me to be on any of the boards that I just mentioned without saying that I'm the son of the Vice President of the United States.
The question is not why Hunter Biden used his name to get these gigs. It's why Joe Biden let him do it.
On a Monday afternoon full of great content, coming up, Ray Dietrich in the show. We just talked to Billy Hanisch. The polls, we hope the polls are right. I'm telling you right now, because wow, there's only one bakery out of over a dozen that we took a look at where Trump is behind, and the polls, screw them. I mean, they're all bullshit. Honestly, they are, because we see the massive crowds turning out. Everybody that I talk to, if I'm wearing like a Trump shirt or something, people come up to me like, "Oh, that's a really nice shirt." I don't really get any ugly looks. And I was talking to my neighbor who was at they don't advertise with us. I'm not going to say the name of the store that she was at, but she was wearing. Everybody was coming up to her. "Oh, it's such a nice shirt." She was telling me that story yesterday. So I'm not the only one. I'm also not the only one that likes to wear good, nice, quality jewelry, like is available at Johnson Jewelers. They're located in Woodbury, Minnesota, but it doesn't matter where you're located. You can still do business with one of the most fine companies in the world. And I know this because I do business with Johnson Jewelers. I have had rings done there. I've had cleanings done. I've had custom jewelry made. I got that little pendant for my wife. I had the fine people over there at Johnson Jewelers make her an anniversary ring that was really nice. And it's just good quality stuff, and it just shines so bright. And it doesn't matter what you want done. If it's a custom piece, like if you have an old pendant or a stone that you don't know what to do with, go to johnsonjewelers.com, maybe email over there, give them a phone call, visit them in person, tell them exactly what it is that you're looking for, and they will not disappoint, I promise. Go to johnsonjewelers.com. They're an official sponsor here on PC Radio. They pay us for saying this stuff, but we actually believe it because we personally do business with Johnson Jewelers. johnsonjewelers.com. johnsonjewelers.com. That's johnsonjewelers.com.
Prop 25 ends our right to put up bail for anyone, even though they may have been racially profiled. Prop 25 replaces bail with computer algorithms. Academic studies show that these algorithms are biased. Some call them black boxes. And Prop 25's new bureaucracy delays justice for innocent people stuck in jail. The NAACP asks you to vote no on Proposition 25.
Twitter blew up. More offensive than a presidential tweet.
Russia, China, Japan, Mexico, all countries will respect us far more than they do under past administrations.
PC Radio with Stu and Rich. Mojo 50 Radio.
We're on iHeartRadio. We're on, the station is called Mojo 50. We're on the OpsLens app. We're on Clout Hub, channel 200. We're broadcasting live as long as they'll let us on Twitter. We're on Facebook, Patriotically Correct Radio Show, PC Radio. My name is Stu Peters. I am your angry host, and that is Richard Leonard over there. Sorry that I had to cut you off there, but we had bills to pay. You brought up a pretty good question, and that's how do you go from being a dedicated street cop, somebody who's super excited, and you briefly touched on this, and I mentioned this when I had Skazny on the phone when he was on the show. I think it was last week, Monday, and I kind of went off on him. I feel a little bit bad, but it wasn't him that I was going off on. It was this narrative, and about police. And I highlighted briefly during that conversation that in the state of Minnesota, you have to first decide that you have a calling for service. That's not something that you decide. I don't believe I think that's something that you're born with. I mean, like you, Richard, have a calling for service, right? You went into the military, and you serve your community as a bail enforcement guy, and we do tremendous work in that regard. But every cop that I've ever met, they don't just decide they're going to go be a cop. It's a calling that they have. Even cops that decide late in life that they're going to go be a cop. Maybe they laid hardwood floors beforehand, or sold cars at the shitty car lot up the street, and they were just like, this isn't for me. I have a greater purpose. I have something that I need to accomplish. I have something that I want to do. And I think it's a calling that brings them, into this profession. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And then
it's not one of those things where it was, you'll hear people say, well, yeah, I became a carpenter because it was the last resort. It was the only place I could find a job.
I hear it all the time. Yeah.
You don't do that with cops.
No, not at all. It's never really a last resort. Exactly. And so then in Minnesota, it's a long road. You decide that you want to be a cop, or you have this calling that you can't deny. You then you graduate high school and you go to college. You're required to have a degree, at least a 2-year degree. Most now departments will not hire you without a 4-year degree. So you get your 4-year degree in criminal justice or your 2-year associates in applied science degree in law enforcement. Well, then it's not over at that point. Then you got to go to skills training. Before you ever even turn in an application, then you got to go to skills training and be post-certified, eligible to be licensed as a cop in the state of Minnesota. Then you put your feelers out and you start interviewing, and then you go through this rigorous backgrounding. I mean, they go talk to your effing first grade teachers. They talk to your damn neighbors. They talk to the stupid bitch that didn't like you from the coffee shop, and they do their best to eliminate you as a prospect. And especially if you're a white male, effing forget about it. If you're a white guy, you're out of here. And now they're even going away from these military personnel. There was a citizens panel that's in charge of hiring in Brooklyn Park and in Minneapolis, where this bitch was on the hiring panel, and she said, there was this guy that was really qualified, and he had military service, and he was a white male, and he had a shaved head, and he was super qualified. He had a degree. He was in the military. He was security forces in the military. He was an MP. And he does his whole interview before this citizens panel, and he walks out, and this woman says, well, he's not got my vote. And everybody just kind of turned and looked at her like, what? And she was like, yep, no, I'm tired of these white male military types. Really? So anyways, so then when they get done with the skills training, they go through this backgrounding, then they have like I highlighted these stupid effing panels that they have to go before. They have psychological examinations. They have polygraph examinations, lie detector tests. Then they have to go through an academy at the department. So 12 to 16 weeks more, like a boot camp, for cops. They've already been to skills training. They've already been to college, and now they got to go to another school, which is the academy. And there's a lot of physical testing there, and PT stuff. They push you to your limits. You go through CIT, which is the crisis intervention team. You learn about EDPs, emotionally disturbed persons in crisis. You basically have to become a damn counselor to hit the streets. And then you have to go through the FTO process. Okay, so if you get hired after going through all of that,
at that point, you don't use, after all that training, all that school, all these classrooms, all the tests, all the PT, all the running, all the getting your ass kicked by the instructors.
Yeah,
you still don't know dick about being a cop.
No, you don't learn how to be a cop in a classroom. That's for damn sure. Right. You learn how to be a cop on the street, and that's when you go to the FTO program. And there's 4 phases of that in Minnesota at most departments. And you have different field training officers that you ride with. Some of them are real dicks. Some of them are probably cool, more laid back. But their job is to try to flunk you out of there, right? To get you out. And or to train you how to be a better cop. And those are the guys that I think, and gals that are FTOs that those are the ones that we need, the ones that want you to be a good cop. And so when you make it through all that, then and only then can you become a police officer on the street? So your question, going back to that, was how do you go from this passion, this burning passion to serve your community and go through all of that bullshit, and then you're a cop, and then all of a sudden you get promoted to sergeant, and then from there, if you so wish, then you can move up into the ranks that are appointed by the chief, right? Inspectors, lieutenants, commanders, depending on the department, they all have different names. Some majors, under chiefs, assistant chiefs. And then how do you turn into a piece of shit? Well, it's because of politics. It's all politics. The chief might have been the best cop in the world on the street, a real cop's cop, but he's a piece of shit now. And here's why. Because he serves at the pleasure of the city council and the mayor. So it's their wishes. They're really the ones that are running the police department. So if Mayor Jacob Fryboy, the POS man-child boy up there in Minneapolis, if he says that this is the way that it's going to go, then Arredondo has to figure out a way to tell his cops that it's a great idea. And he's under fire all the time. But he's an empty suit. That's all he is.
Well, but yes, I get all that. I completely understand.
Oh shit! I thought I answered your question.
Well, you did, but I still want to believe that at the highest levels of policing in our country, that they still have some remnants. They have some memory of what it's like to be a real cop and what it's like to be out there on the streets, sometimes by yourself, fighting for your life.
Yeah.
And then amongst all of that, having to make a split-second decision about whether or not to take another human life, which I can tell you is not a desirable thing at all. I don't care if you're black, Asian, Mexican, Guatemalan, Nicaraguan, Nigerian, Colombian, Somalian. It doesn't matter. Taking a human life is a big deal.
Gay, straight, Republican, Democrat, Christian, Muslim.
Doesn't matter. For people who have never done it and will always say, well, if it was me, I'd have shot that son of a bitch right in the face, or right in the chest and taken him out. Well, you can't put yourself in that situation and tell anybody how or what you would do or how or what you would feel because you've never been there.
Right.
And so some of these officers who then make it to these higher levels, there's got to be some remnants in their mind about what that was like to be the kid just off of FTO who went through all this bullshit and then did the dog and pony show on the stage to get his badge, and his mom and dad were taking pictures and all that other bullshit. And now in Minneapolis, for example, you're going to tell a group of cops who are in the building that is being set on fire, the windows are being broken, it's under siege. You're going to tell those cops, hey man, why don't you guys get out the back door, get to your vehicles, and get out of there? Let them have the building.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. That's your home.
Yeah.
You don't ever leave your home and give it up. And, Joe the cop was 100% right. When that happened, the message went out worldwide even maybe that the cops aren't shit. They're a bunch of pussies. Do what you want. They ain't going to do nothing.
The city is lost at that point.
Sucks.
Nobody will ever take law enforcement seriously again in the city of Minneapolis because of a decision like that, because of the pansy effect, and, the only people that are really down there doing, well, I don't know, man. It's really a touchy thing for me because I don't want to offend cops because it's to no fault of their own, and we get it. We understand that you guys want to be out there doing your jobs. And we understand that it's because of your pussy command staff that you can't go out there and do your job. And it's all because of politics. It really pisses me off. Something else that pisses me off is a story with Ray Dietrich. I was able to catch up with him over the weekend. He was censored, shut down, and lost 2.5 million people. Let's check this out. We have been highlighting the socialist takeover of big tech and social media on PC Radio and talking about the fascist censorship that's resulted in the loss of free speech and the loss of business. Here with us now is Ray Dietrich, a former lawman, 20 years of policing experience, whose mission now is to give a voice back to cops who can't speak out on their own. God knows we know a lot of them. He's the conservative loudmouth host of Coffee with Cops and the Thin Blue Line Show. He's unafraid to take on the radical left to keep them from ruining law enforcement forever, and he's now part of the Fight Back movement against Twitter and Facebook. Ray, you've been personally and directly affected by these radical communist social media giants. Start from the beginning. Tell us a story.
All right, Stu, thanks for having me. 6 years ago, I started building fan pages here on the Facebook, and it was pro-police. I was still a police officer. I was upset about how some of the rioting was happening back in Freddie Gray days in Baltimore and such. My pages blew up, and 6 years later, you fast forward, I've already been off the job for 4 years running these pages full time with 2.5 million followers. And then in the last, we've been fighting censorship on Facebook for a long time, but in the last probably 90 days, as this election has really, really heated up, we've been demonetized on now 25 out of 26 pages. Just found out this morning that I lost my podcast show. That literally was just my opinion show for Thin Blue Line show, and Coffee with Cops was monetized. That's gone. So we've lost 25 of 26. We're locked out of posting on our own pages, and this is without any reason. There's no notification. Oh, you've broke this rule and this rule. It was this post that you did wrong. Nothing whatsoever. We just show up to our pages and it says, hey, you can't post. You're limited posting. And then it'll be the next day. It'll be another reason. Oh, you have too many admins on your pages. You're trying to circumvent our rules. And I'm like, well, these are businesses that have many people involved in their pages.
Right. Yeah.
So they've taken us away from our audience. It's literally 2.5 million followers. We have no access to those pages as of now, and now they've ratcheted up another notch. Just this morning, we have a group called We Support Our Police on Facebook, 75,000 strong.
Yep.
And I see a post from Law Enforcement News Network, which is our new law enforcement media company. Mm-hmm. It's a news story about a shooting in San Bernardino that had some protests afterwards. It's a news story, not an opinion story. And I look and see that it's got limited comments. And then they turned off comments for that because people were agreeing that it was a good shooting. They're completely out of control, that they're shutting down any voices. I literally, like, my own page is still locked out for whatever reason, like the Ray Dietrich page on Facebook. And now, we're having the same problems with everything else. The big crackdown started when the New York Post article came out with Biden. Yeah. So I think it's fairly election related. I don't think there's any other reason for it whatsoever. And it's really just Nazi Germany feel, the Soviet Union feel. It is very scary what they're doing with free speech. And, people will come to you, oh, this isn't free speech. These are private businesses on the internet. No, that's not where we're at today. Today, this is the town hall. This is the town square. Right. This is the telephone. This is speaking to people. This is how we communicate. The best analogy I have for what they're doing is if I called you on the phone and started talking about politics, and I'm like, hey, I like Trump. I want to vote for Trump. And then the phone company turned it off because they didn't like what we're talking about. That's where we're at right now.
I think that's a perfect comparison. So as a result of this attack on your First Amendment, you've launched something new. You kind of broke it a little bit here already, but we're going to let you opine on this a little bit more. It's exciting for people who want unfiltered and uncensored law enforcement news and news about the lawlessness happening in our country that the mainstream media won't report on and they won't bring us. So you've got the Law Enforcement News Network. Tell us about that.
Sure. Myself and some other partners, including Randy Sutton, got together because we've been facing what we like to call a blue out. The pro-police pages and conservative movement, the pro-police messaging has been throttled completely in social media, as we were just talking about. Yeah. And then you have the thing where what happens today in a police shooting is you get the attorney that comes out, like Ben Crump will come out and do a presser or a presser after a shooting, get their story out to the media. And that narrative is what they report on, just like Breonna Taylor. They report on a certain narrative that comes out from the defense side or the lawyer side of the suspect, and they'll put out this entire story. The media reports on it for 3 months, and you never hear the truth because they suppress the truth. So we created the Law Enforcement News Network because it's by cops, for cops, real news showing the perspective of the American law enforcement officer because no one else is out there doing it. Like, if you didn't see independent journalism this summer, you wouldn't even know about the rioting that was so extensive all summer long because the mainstream media doesn't show that. They don't show officers being attacked and assaulted. They may show when they finally go after a suspect and there's a use of force in those riots, but they don't show everything else. So our job at Law Enforcement News Network is to show real news. Even if we screw something up, we're going to report it but show the perspective of law enforcement and then get into the why things are like this.
Yeah, it's an objective source. I mean, it's a place where you can go see actual objective news and material that shows both sides of it, is what I'm understanding. I mean, look at you briefly mentioned the riots and how a lot of it went unreported. Even when they did report on it, they did it so falsely. I mean, CNN shamelessly stood there with their reporter saying it's a mostly nonviolent, a mostly peaceful protest. The whole city was burning behind him. I mean, in the backdrop, there were people getting their blocks knocked off, and a police precinct was on fire. The nerve of the mainstream media to think that United States citizens and Americans are so stupid is just absolutely beyond me. The Law Enforcement News Network, by the way, can be found at lenn.blue. lenn.blue, Law Enforcement News Network, lenn.blue. Ray, you've partnered with Randy Sutton in a couple of things. Another one is to bring us LawDog Coffee. What an awesome product, by the way, and a great cause. PC Radio, for full disclosure, is a proud affiliate of LawDog Coffee. We're excited about how the word is traveling. We've even got restaurants here now in St. Paul that are going to feature LawDog Coffee exclusively in their restaurants. One of them is Tin Cups in St. Paul, Gidget Bailey on Rice Street. Very busy. She has not only decided that she's going to switch over to LawDog because she believes in the cause. For those of you that don't know about LawDog, every dollar that's spent, a portion of those dollars go to the Wounded Blue, which has documented helping, I believe, over 6,000 law enforcement families nationwide. A great history, and it's really good coffee as well. So not only has she done that, but she has now said that every dime that she makes in profit off of the sale of a cup of coffee, she's going to donate back to the Wounded Blue as well. There's a lot of people, Ray, who really support the police. They're a big part of the Defend Police, Back the Blue movement, and these are the people that need to be directed to sources like Law Enforcement News Network for True Blue News, lenn.blue. Why do you think they're doing this? What is the narrative obviously is, okay, the police are bad, we need to defund the police. This is all part of the liberal radical talking points that are trying to push a narrative for this election. Do you think that the majority of Americans in this country really do get with that? Do they jive with that? Are they going to go vote for a Biden-Harris? And I know that this is just your perspective and it's opinion. You're not a political pundit by any means. But I mean, in your opinion, are there enough people in this country that are with that narrative that they'll go and elect a Biden-Harris administration to the White House?
You know, if you would have asked me that in the first week of June, I would have said maybe that could happen. Because they jumped on the George Floyd incident. Obviously, you're super aware of that, and everyone went crazy. And I think people believed all the BS behind it. This is the systemic racism, and police are bad and all racist, and America's been built on racist foundation. All this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I think maybe a week into all of this post George Floyd, we may have been in trouble with that. But what I really think is that there's a huge portion of Americans that feel like they cannot support publicly the police. They're scared to show a thin blue line flag. They're scared to wear a hat that says, I support the police, because of the cancel culture and everything goes with it. I think there's a lot more people that do support. Our numbers were surging through the roof prior to Facebook throttling us. But, I think people, as summer has gone, the longest summer I can ever remember in 2020, this is the longest year I can remember. I think people have started to see through it. I think people have really realized that law and order is important, and that's what people really want. And it's not just about this social justice nonsense. And you saw it, in the polls, and you could see the Biden team shift away from, the systemic racism, police are bad, defund the police, because they were getting murdered in the polls versus law and order.
Not only are they getting
Americans
murdered,
are smarter than that.
They're getting murdered in attendance as well. I mean, you look at Biden events. He's got 12 cars rolling up. In a recent one in Pennsylvania, more Trump supporters showed up at a Biden event than Biden supporters did, and then of course they were called chumps. That's how we're referring to
chumps for Trump.
America-loving Trump supporters now. They're chumps. We've been deplorables. We've been to the idiots that cling to our religion and guns. I mean, we're used to this. So yeah, chumps for Trump all the way. And last night, the president with a big blue line flag behind him, defend cops. I saw that you posted that picture. I now actually used it as my personal page's banner. I love it. And the president loves the police as well. And I think, the attendance outweighs the polls. You look at 20 to 30,000 people showing up at the president's rallies. He's very outspoken about his support for law enforcement. So, in the long run, I'm not concerned at all. Ray, I appreciate you being here. Thanks so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks to you very much.
Ray Dietrich, everybody. Yeah. So that's a huge story, Richard. I mean, to take 2.5 million people that are now no longer able. I mean, forget about the $50,000 a month that was being generated for a business. You know, the Thin Blue Line show, Coffee with Cops, and the America's Keepers community that does tremendous things for the community. But how gangster are these big tech companies that they're actually now censoring a nonprofit that donates to police? If you're a conservative pro-police voice, watch out. You're going to be done. And after airing that interview, I wouldn't be surprised if we're out of here too. So everybody make sure that you get over to Clout Hub and OpsLens. Download the Clout Hub app. We're on channel 200 over there. We got to blow that thing up really big. And the OpsLens app. That's OPSLENS. Richard, your take on what Ray Dietrich was talking about.
Well, my first thought is, are the 2.5 million people who are following him, even half of them, are they outraged? Is online petitions? What? There's got to be some kind of recourse, even if they don't get all of their stuff back. What are the masses saying? I mean, so we talk a lot about the media. First of all, the mainstream media is bullshit. Yeah. Media outlets like ours and Ray's get censored, and in his case, canceled and just shut off.
Right.
What is the recourse for the people that want to hear the truth and are at least objective about it? Because I'm sure that we have some listeners that probably listen to our show or watch us on this whatever it is they watch it on and go, these guys are full of shit. But all right, that's fine. You can think I'm full of shit. That's cool. But what are they saying? I mean, there's got to be some outlet for them.
I'll tell you the recourse.
They can't have just went, oh, wow, Blue Line Radio is gone, and Defend the Blue and all this stuff. They're just gone. Well, that sucks. Well, let's move on to the next one.
That's 2.5 million people that have tons of recourse. They can go pull a lever for Donald Trump. Because no matter what, on November 3rd, whether you're rich or poor, whether you're Democrat or Republican, whether you're Muslim or Christian, whether you're black or whether you're white or gay or straight, whether you have billions of dollars and a couple of houses in the Hamptons, or maybe you're a 47-year career politician that somehow became a billionaire. I don't know. I didn't know how that's possible to be a public servant for that long and have 7 houses all over the place. But you know what? Everything is equalized on that day. Everybody has the same amount of votes, 1. And so that's 2.5 million people that, if Ray were able to get to them, they have to know that he was shut down. I mean, our fans would know if we were shut down. They just wouldn't hear us anymore. And they would just automatically, I'm sure, assume that the communist fascist regime got to us. You see that stupid bitch, that previous mayor, the worst mayor in the history of our country, the former mayor of the failed, disgraced mayor of Minneapolis, Betsy Hodges. I think the only person worse than her is Jacob Fry, and he's now in there. That stupid bitch posted on her Facebook, yeah, I voted. I went and voted today. I chose a hope for democracy over fascism, so I voted for Biden. Really? These people are the exact definition of fascism. I mean, what a stupid, ignorant bitch. I didn't even have a retort for her other than to get really ignorant with her like I'm doing right now. And I'm sorry, Mom, if you're watching the show. I don't, I try to maintain a level of professionalism, but we're at a point right now where I really just don't even give a shit anymore about your feelings. And not you, Mom. I'm just talking about the general listener, Mom. I love you, and I do care about your feelings, of course. And thank you for the necktie, and I appreciate you bringing me over a bottle of wine over the weekend. It went great with the thing that I made. By the way, I have a effing fantastic recipe that I just kind of made up on my own. And, I kind of have the dad blood in me. My dad is a tremendous cook, and he kind of makes shit up on the fly. But did I show you a picture? I think I sent you some Snapchats of it over the weekend, what I was making. But it was like this spaghetti bake that I did, and my sauce simmered for like 6 hours, and I made homemade meatballs from scratch. And those sons of bitches they had like elephantitis, man. Those big balls were just, man, I'm telling you, they were seasoned. Man, it was, you do love big balls. I know. But I'm telling you, this thing was awesome. So I'll have to, and I couldn't recreate it if I tried because I didn't go from a recipe or write anything down, but I wanted to cook something nice for the kids and, something other than Hamburger Helper. And so I just invested the time. And I love when my house smells just freaking amazing, all day long, especially on a day where it's cold and snowy and, you're outside and the kids are sledding and you're playing catch with the football and you come back in and that sauce has been simmering and your house just smells warm and you light up the fire and you sit back and watch Blippi and what else do we watch? Oh, The Grinch. We're watching that every 5 effing minutes now.
Blippi.
Oh yeah, Blippi. He's that guy. Talk about
I like Blippi.
Talk about a smart guy. He was a former Marine who started this kids show. He's got like ubers of millions of followers. He'll never be shut down by anybody. And the guy's got to be making $100,000 a month at least on that show. And it's actually quite entertaining. The guy, he does a really good job. I could do without some of the antics that he does. I could do without the and and all the kiddie bullshit. But the kids love it. They absolutely love it. I don't know where I was going with any of this. I went way off the rails. Oh, by the way, I have to mention something. This weekend, I've forgotten to plug this damn guy, and I keep forgetting about it, but on Mojo 50 Radio, on iHeartRadio, this weekend, make sure that you look for Ain't You a Peach. All right, they're having a contest on Mojo 50. If you want to be a radio show host, you have to have the most listenership. It's an open mic. That's what it is. Yes, I forgot about it, just like producer Ron forgot what it's called. Yes, it's an open mic contest on Mojo 50, and the contestants are already in. So if you're watching the show and you decide you want to get in, it's too late. And if you heard about it, F your feelings. Don't care. But anyway, Ain't You a Peach is the one that I think you should go vote for and go listen to them. And when you listen to it again and again, and put it on when you're in the damn shower and when you're scrubbing your big balls. So Ain't You a Peach, Mojo 50 Radio this weekend. I don't even know what the exact time is. I'll have to look for it. Or you could just go to Mojo 50 on their Facebook page or mojo50.com and check it out. Ain't You a Peach. The Leprechaun.
Are they looking to give some contest winner opportunity to have their own new show?
That's exactly what it is. The contest winner gets their own show on Mojo 50 Radio.
Oh.
It's kind of a big deal. Yeah, I mean, I wish I knew that it was that easy when we were starting this damn shit. That's for sure. But we've inherited several thousand, and we've escalated to several million. And I feel very blessed that we have the platform that we do. And I apologize to these millions of people that listen to this show for the lackluster feeling on today's show. I'm not as organized as I typically am, but I'm tired of ranting and raving about all of the bullshit that's going on the streets of America and in our media, and the voter intimidation and suppression and these fake ballots and this fake virus. I'm just so sick of all of this shit, and it's ruining the future for our kids who are now growing up in an America that not even my father recognizes. But can you imagine what our grandfathers would be saying if they could come back today and see what's going on in this shithole country? And I don't mean shithole country, okay, because I love America. So don't go off on me and talk about how I've sacrificed my patriotism. But I'm just telling you, I mean, we're on the brink of a total collapse.
Might want it to be a shithole country at some point. That might be what they're shooting for.
I think so. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be in a better mood. Weekdays at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. Mojo 50 Radio is the station on iHeartRadio, Cloud Hub Channel 200. We're on Facebook and Twitter for now. We're on the OpsLens app and everywhere that you get your podcasts. Patriotically Correct Radio. We want to thank Billy Hanisch for being on the show today. We want to thank LawDog Coffee. We're a proud affiliate of those people, broadcasting live from the LawDog Coffee studios. And thanks to Ray Dietrich for the time that you gave us over the weekend. Great interview. And go check them out, lenn.blue, the Law Enforcement News Network. Back tomorrow at 4 p.m. See you later. Hey, it's Stu Peters and Richard Leonard for LawDog Coffee Company. Welcome to LawDog Coffee Company. Some heroes wear capes, ours wear a badge. Every single purchase you make goes to support law enforcement. So if you love the cops, if you support law enforcement, if you don't agree with defunding the police, if you want to make sure that they have good equipment, if you want to take care of law enforcement families, this is the only coffee that you want to drink. And not only that, their purpose is great, but the coffee is even better. You can sign up online very easily for freshly roasted specialty coffee to your door. You can choose weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly deliveries. Gifts and apparel also available. LawDog Coffee Company, located at lawdogcoffee.com. lawdogcoffee.com. That's lawdogcoffee.com. Use the promo code PC Radio for 10% off every purchase.